Welcome back, guys. Thanks very much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Now, look, before my little hiatus occurred at the start of the year, I was pretty keen on getting a Threadling build out for Titans. It's a very, I guess, there's plenty of builds out for a Warlock Threadling build, along with, it's got the Swarm as exotic, and it's already been done a few times. But I thought that maybe we could get a Titan one going. Now, admittedly, it's probably not as potent as the Warlock one, but I still think it is quite a lot of fun. So I'll get stuck into it today, guys. Hang around, let me know what you think. If there's any changes you'd like to make, certainly make them known. Just leave a comment. But let's get stuck into it. We're going to look at the subclass abilities and everything in between. Now, not much to look at here in terms of our super. It is the only one available, our Blade Fury. We're going to be using the Rally Barricade with our Strafe Lift and the Frenzy Blade. So all pretty standard stuff alongside our Threadling Grenade. So a lot of our build is going to be centering around this particular ability. And I'm going to be jumping into the aspects as well. Now the aspects, there's nothing directly sort of around Threadlings here. Maybe with our next one, but let's have a look at Into the Fray. Destroying a tangle or casting your super grants Woven Mail for nearby allies. And while you have Woven Mail, your melee regeneration rate is increased. So a nice little support aspect for our team. The other one is Banner of War. Now, it doesn't seem like this would probably work, but it will work in tandem with some of the mods that we've got out on our armor, but we'll get into that in a sec. Let's have a read of what Banner of War is all about. Defeating a target with a melee attack, finisher, or sword to raise a Banner of War, pulse with energy, periodically healing nearby allies, increasing melee and sword damage. So we're not so much interested in the sword damage, but the melee attack and finisher is what we're about. So the main one there is finisher. We're going to be using this alongside one of our mods in our mark. We'll get to that in a sec, but that's going to give us the ability to generate an overshield. And with our fragments that we're going to go through in a sec, it's going to give us the ability to generate 3 Threadlings per finisher that we carry out. So really, really decent synergy there. Speaking of fragments, let's jump into it. So we've got the Thread of Generation. Dealing damage generates grenade energy. Pretty simple. -10 on the grenade because you're getting a bonus, but pretty straightforward there, guys. Next one we're going to have is the Thread of Evolution. Threadlings travel farther and deal additional damage. So a nice little boost to the Threadling AI. I think there was a boost in the Ashen Iron update, which was, oh boy, that was not a great update, I'd say. But this was pretty good. They're actually far more intelligent in how they track, and yeah, the actual damage they deal is pretty extensive. So yeah, look, definitely worth having in this type of build. Next one is Thread of Rebirth. Strand weapon final blows have a chance to create a Threadling. Now we're going to be running 3 strand weapons, and I'll get to how we're exactly doing that shortly. But because we have so many strand weapons, basically every final blow we get on our weapons is going to have a chance to create a Threadling. So the more weapons we have, the more final blows we get, the more chances for Threadlings to come out. Next one is Thread of Finality. Our finisher final blows create Threadlings. So this is where it works really nicely with Banner of War. We get that boost with Banner of War. And when we carry out a finisher, we're getting 3 Threadlings coming out of that enemy that we finish off, and they go looking for trouble. So get a nice little bump to our class, although we're not really sort of worried too much about that. Let's have a quick look at the weapons, guys. So you can see here, our first strand weapon is going to be All or Nothing. It is a heat weapon, and it is available in the Renegades update. It's a 540, so it's a fairly high RPM. It's a low damage, but high RPM weapon. And this one is actually rolled with Hatchling, so we have the ability to create Threadlings with this weapon, alongside Cooling Baubles. So basically, when we pick up an Orb of Power, it reduces the heat on this weapon, so you get to fire off a few more shots before it overheats if you have to. Next one is Tessellation. Now you look at this thing and say, well, that's kinetic. How the hell are we getting a strand out of that? Well, this little perk that we've got here, intrinsic trait. This weapon adapts its damage type to match your equipped grenade. So whatever subclass you're running, this is what the element that the weapon is. So we've got another strand weapon here. Now, it doesn't say it in the menus, but when you're in the game, that'll show a Strand element instead of kinetic. So it's not a huge hitting weapon. It does have a fairly decent mag. It's a fairly, charge time's not too bad, but it gets you out of a pickle if you need to. Good single target damage. The heavy weapon that we're using is the Quavinctus 4. Now, this is a bit of a beast. It's a pretty slow firing. You can see there, it's a 360 per minute, rounds per minute weapon, so one of the slower firing heavy weapons, heavy machine guns, I should say. And this one's actually running rewind rounds and demolitionist. So demolitionist, final blows with this weapon generate an improved amount of grenade energy. So really nice to have. Each kill that we get with this is going to give us, I think it's roughly about 10% of our grenade energy back. And alongside that, we've got rewind rounds. So you can get down to 0 in your magazine, and it will it'll refill it based on the number of hits you had. So it might fill it back up to about 30 or something like that. Funnily enough, though, with Demolitionist, activating your grenade ability reloads this weapon. So if you're firing off a full magazine with this thing, you've got rewind rounds happening, and then you throw a grenade out, so you throw your hatchlings out, this goes back to full in terms of your magazine, and then you get to activate rewind rounds again from maximum. So it's really handy to have. Look at the armor. Now you can see here, Thriving Survivor. So what's that? So we've got the Thriving Survivor set, the 4-piece here. Now you can see the 2-piece, final blows with grenades, grant heat weapons, which is very nice for your primary over here. Grant heat weapons, bonus stability and vent speed. So we're going to be releasing vent speed a little bit quicker, which gets that weapon back in the game. And if you're not using that, if you're using a primary upper weapon, you do get a bonus to stability and reload speed, but we're not really worried too much about it. The 4-piece is where it's at, though. As you can see, multiple final blows with heat weapons or primary ammo weapons grant bonuses to weapon and grenade stats. So again, I'm getting a nice little boost to grenade and weapon. Now, you can see there, it's a very measly 5 points in weapons, but I haven't optimized this set. I basically just threw on what I had. You can see here 5 grenade stats, so very small indeed. Across the set that I've got, I'm probably missing about 45-50 stat points. Again, it could probably look a bit better, but it's not quite optimized. Still working very well for myself. But if you've got a good kit that focuses around the grenade stat, you're going to find better results too. So yeah, look, a four-piece set of the Thriving Survivor armor set. I couldn't find another armor set that really worked. If that's not the case and I've completely missed it, let me know. But we'll have a look at the mods we're running. So our helm, we're running triples of Ashes to Assets, gain bonus super energy on grenade kills. So that's our Threadlings. Now, because we're generating so many Threadlings with our grenades, you will find that you'll get your super back very quickly. I was finding anywhere between 30 to 60 seconds per super. I was getting 4 bar back, so I really want to get that happening there. And our arms are going to be running triple firepower. Your grenade final blows create orbs of power. So again, we're getting lots of super energy, lots of orbs happening. As you can see here on our Armarmentarium, our exotic armor piece, gain an additional grenade charge. Grenade final blows spawn an orb of power, and weapon final blows grant grenade energy. So, our weapon final blows with Armarmentarium, they're giving us grenade energy. Demolitionist on this weapon is giving us grenade energy. So 2 sources of grenade energy on weapon blows, really nice to have. And orbs of power being generated via this one here and via Armarmentarium. And orbs of power work into our leg armor. Innovation reduces grenade cooldown each time you pick up an orb of power. So because we're generating so many different types of orbs of power, and we get the potency up, the more that you run of these, you can see that equipping multiple copies of this mod increases the potency of the generated orb. So it's a bigger orb, gives you more energy. You'll find that your grenade and your super are coming back extremely quickly. So there's not a lot of downtime between throwing grenades out, and with the amount of enemies that you can see, I'm at 550. So with the amount of enemies that you see in Ultimate content, having a lot of enemies there, orange bars, red bars, you got bosses in there too, you can constantly throw these grenades out. The Threadlings are just running around the room causing chaos, And it is quite fun to actually see them just running around, just blowing up enemies in the background. And you find your kill count goes up very quickly. Our last armor piece is the mark. Now, as I said, with finishes, you can probably remember from our Banner of War and the Fragment with finishes. Each finisher, we are going to create Threadlings, we're going to get Banner of War occurring, and now, with Proximity Ward, we can generate an Overshield. Because we've got so many Orbs of Power occurring, we really probably want to have Powerful Attraction. Automatically collects nearby Orbs of Power when you activate class ability. Now, you will be throwing the odd barrier down as well, just to get some cover, and that's going to draw in some orbs that are lying around. Our last mod for the mark is Explosive Finisher, so we've got 3 armor charge occurring, and that's going to basically be consumed if we've got no grenade energy occurring, and it's going to restore that ability there as well. So lots of different ways to get our grenade energy back, and yeah, basically just keep these Threadlings coming out over and over again. We move on to the artifact. Not a lot of strand orientated perks here. You can see our first column. Now, there's never really any beneficial stats to have. It's all our anti-champion stuff. I've just selected all that so I can get things moving. Our second column is Elemental Siphon, Fastest Draw, and Expert Handling. So pretty standard stuff there. Nice little perks for your weapons in terms of stability, reload, flinch, resistance. But the big one was Elemental Siphon. Rapid final blows with a kinetic weapon or a weapon matching your equipped super creates an elemental pickup. So, obviously we're running 3 strand. That's going to give us the ability to proc this a little bit quicker because we're using every weapon is going to match our strand subclass. It's going to give us more chances to create an elemental pickup. Third column, Press the Advantage. Breaking a combatant shield grants increased weapon stability, handling, and reload speed. So nice little perks to have. A bonus there. I really like to have stability and reload speed pretty high, so it's nice to get that boost. In terms of the third column, there's nothing else really there that's going to help us. So I've sort of opted for the fourth column here with a few more. Now the first one in the fourth column is Armorsmith. Breaking combatant shield temporarily grants you damage resistance and increased melee. Now, even though this build doesn't really focus around melee damage, it is nice to have. You do get 3 procs of your melee Frenzied Blade, and it does do quite a bit of damage too. It is noticeable the amount of melee damage boost you do get, so it's nice to have. Counter energy. When you or a member of your fight team stun a champion, you gain energy for your least charged ability. Now, more often than not, that's going to be grenade, so it's another boost to your grenade stat. Last one here. Now, even though it sort of looks like it's sword orientated, if you have a look at the wording, it's more centered around melee as well. While you have a void elemental buff, our overshield that we're generating from finishes, melee and sword hits weaken targets, and while melee and sword final blows create a weakening burst. So we can take advantage of the 3 ability uses of our Frenzy Blade, and that'll work really nicely in here when we can. Obviously, we're not going to get a finisher all the time, but when we can utilize this if we're surrounded and get ourselves out of a bit of a sticky situation. Now, Singularity Blade works pretty well with Void Infestation. You weaken the target if you defeat them. You create a weakening burst, but you also defeat a weakened target spawns a tracking projectile that passes the weakened debuff on. So you can effectively keep chaining that to different enemies and get, at least 3 or 4 different hits off, and you might really clear a space out for yourself to regroup and get into a better position. Oh, actually, while I'm here, because we're using the Thriving Armor set, it is a new set, so it gives us 10% damage resistance, which is nice to have. And all our weapons are counted as new gear weapons, so 5% to each weapon type slot. Well, that's pretty much it, guys. I'm really happy with how the build came together, and I actually had quite a lot of fun. I was using this for Fire Team, some Pinnacle stuff, and the arenas. I really enjoyed using this on Catch Crash, actually. It was really, really fun. It cleared out a lot of enemies pretty quickly. If it wasn't taking enemies out, it was certainly helping damage them for my teammates to help finish them off. Yeah, look, I'll leave that one with you guys. I'm pretty happy with this one. Probably get a few more things happening over the next couple of weeks up until the new update comes out. But yeah, look, thanks for dropping by. Okay, I'll see you guys in the next one.